Hello, everyone. This is WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. This is the Author's Corner, Meet the Author. And I am your host, Cece Shatz, the Doyenne of Relationship Building. And I am also the president of Going Solo Network. So I just wanted to ask you to join me here on the goingsolomedia.com. And if you want to know a little bit more about the business that we do with all of the things that we do for singles, look up Going Solo Network.com and all of our information there. So those of you that have not met me before, I am just so pleased to have you here with us. This is one of our very favorite shows. We have an author's corner, and what we like about it, and I think what's different about it, is that we like to get to know the authors and what makes them tick and why do they write the books that they write, and all these wonderful great reads that they help us be able to move through our path in life. And so we have a wonderful guest with us today, an outstanding gentleman. And let me bring him right up so you guys can see him. Welcome to the show, Gabriel.
Well, I'm pleased to be on the show, Cece. This is a lot of fun. I like it.
Well, thank you. We have Gabriel Cousens, MD, Dr. Cousens, with us here today. He's written a wonderful book called Into the Nothing, a Spiritual Autobiography. And, when I was looking your information over, I was so drawn to you because of all of your spiritual work, everything that you've done. It's just fantastic. So let's go ahead. And you had mentioned that you wanted to open the show today with like a united type of prayer. So let's do that.
Okay, good. So it's a prayer about merging the heart and the mind, which is kind of the greater wisdom when the heart and mind are working together, and also metaphorically the heavens and the earth. So, Lishindikud Kudushabrihu Ushinate Bi Ilu Imu Layad Shibuke Bavavke Biada Shem Kozriel Kolam Amen. And just feel that merging of your heart and mind. We call Hokmah Halev, the wisdom of the heart. Feel that. Okay.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. That is wonderful. You have done a lot of work in your time. You're actually, I had put up here some of the your, all of that you've done. You're a rabbi, and tell us a little bit about your background and all that you've gone into, because you've really touched on a lot of different, different spiritual, beings in your life. So tell us a little bit about that.
So my journey really began at 1 year old. 1943, I had miliary TB, which was a death sentence in those times. But my mother's and father's love kind of pulled me through, and that was good. And at age 4, I knew I wanted to be a doctor. Nobody had ever been a medical at all in my family. And age 8, I began seeing kind of different levels of beings in white. And I didn't know what that was about, but couldn't really talk about it with people. And then, unfortunately, when I was 16, my older brother was killed in a car accident, and I spontaneously went into began to meditate in his room as I was doing my grieving. And I began to touch on a deeper kind of beingness. I also developed a heart and lung machine. At that time, that was very rare, but I was creating life in his room. So struggling to understand. Then my father died when I was 21. My mother when I was 33. And so what my initial spiritual quest is, what is the meaning of death? And I received a spiritual awakening energy from Swami Muktananda in the East that we call Shaktipat. And I realized, I really got, there is no death for the self. The body may die, but the self is immortal. It's neither born nor dies. And that really was my initial quest. Now, when I woke up, so to speak, with the spiritual energy at the age of 33, I spent 7 years meditating. I was meditating up to 6 hours a day and chanting 4.5 hours a day, taking care of my 2 children, my wife, and living in India. So it was a fun challenge, so to speak. And then Swami Muktananda acknowledged me. And then the day I left, he left his body, which is interesting timing. And then in 1983, I did a 40-day fast and went to another level of spiritual awakening, and a little God voice rung out and said, well, you should learn to eat and live in a way that supports the Kundalini, or what we call the spiritual energy, or what we call the Ruach HaKodesh. So that kind of marked my journey. And then the rest was beginning to understand myself and all people as a multidimensional being. And it's been a wild journey. I mean, along the way, I was also trained as a family therapist, couple therapist, psychiatrist, went to medical school, worked with Black Kings on the south side of Chicago. And the few years I worked with them, nobody got killed. The day I left, 8 people got killed. There's seeing the desperation. And then I also been involved in a lot of service and charity. I've seen people from over 128 different countries who have come from me around the world, obviously, but also have taught in 42 different countries, and getting people to kind of work together. And so that's kind of the outer. The inner is really simple. Just follow the voice of God and do the best you can. Just keep showing up. Follow that way. Your life, my life, is the message. So whatever is happening to me is my spiritual test, and is really the key to where I can evolve spiritually at the moment. Now, we often see, parents say, well, I can't really be spiritual, I have kids. No, kids are your spiritual path. Mm-hmm. So it's turning all that around to say, okay, you're raising a family. There's a few challenges, particularly when you have teenagers. Okay, fine. That's your spiritual life. And so it's taking the daily life experiences and turning it into the spiritual teacher. So seeing the positive in all that. So that's been my orientation as my life has unfolded. So I didn't exactly have a game plan. Yeah, I want to be a doctor. That's pretty loose game plan. But the point I'm making is I didn't get in the way. And so as my spiritual life unfolded, I've written a total of 13 books dealing with different subjects. And this book, Into the Nothing, I can kind of hold it up here. Into the Nothing, people can see that. Mm-hmm. Okay, is the very last book I've written in this cycle, which just really gives the basic principles of that your life is the teaching, and I call it holistic liberation, so that it's a way of life that leads you to liberation, but you don't have it as a goal. It's just what you do. So I talk about the 6 foundations, 7-fold peace, eating a diet that helps you can turn into a superconductor of the divine, which is a 100% plant-based diet. Doing yoga, I do the tree yoga, which my wife teaches, and then I also love sacred dance. Third is service and charity, and we do a lot of service and charity all over the world. As they say, in Africa, we have communities of countries that we've linked together. Mexico and Canada and Native Americans, because I'm also a sun dancer. And so the journey just kind of keeps taking me wherever I'm supposed to be going. And so I have a certain faith in that. So later I became a 4-year sun dancer and was adapted into the Lakota Sioux tribe. And those are, but I'm doing.
What is that exactly? A sun dance? Because I saw that and I thought, I don't even know what that is. So what is that?
Well, you get a lot of sun dancing. So you basically dance in a circle around a special tree that we've cut down and honored and planted in the ground. Mm-hmm. And you pretty much dance all day and night. Okay, is what happens. And then at some point, usually there's 4 days. So on the third or fourth day, they put pegs through your chest, and then with a rope, and then you break free, and it's like a sacrifice for humanity.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I was also an eagle dancer, which means I danced for the full 4 days with the pegs in my chest, never left the field, and just slept on the ground. Didn't sleep in tents at night or anything like that, and just stood from sunrise to sunset. So it's a little bit of a physical challenge. I mean, my age at that point was 60, so I was the oldest dancer.
Mm-hmm.
The youngest was probably 23, 22. So it's an offering,
Mm-hmm.
to heal the world.
Mm-hmm.
Men and women both do it. It's a little different. The men have the pegs in the chest. The women will have a little on the shoulder. But basically, you're dancing for 4 days in the sun. Now, because of my diet, which is like a 99% live food,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get sunburned. I was the only one that didn't get sunburned. People were all different skin colors, and it's like I didn't get sunburned. Everybody else did. Even if you're from Africa, people got sunburned because the sun gets hot. What was happening is that my body was eating the light, literally.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't get burned, and I felt really, progressively energized just by taking in that light energy.
Wow, that's amazing. It's totally. I mean, yeah, I had read in your information about, about you, like sharing the light, throughout all of your works and
Right.
everything. So let's talk a little bit about this because we have a lot of individuals here on our network that listen to our shows that struggle, and they struggle a lot with, their lives are shifting, things are happening within their world, they're getting a divorce or they've lost a partner, and they're trying to really figure out what is their path in life, where are they going. And I like what you said with regards to it, basically, like, we all have our own path, right? We all have our own way of going, and sometimes we just have to let it be, right? We just have to kind of live through what we're experiencing.
Yeah, I phrase it as the world is the spiritual teacher. The world's the guru, so to speak. And so we are given experience explicitly for us. And like we could say, poor me, or we could say, wow, what an interesting spiritual experience. What am I going to do with that? How is that going to help me expand my consciousness? So that's my angle in the book. And that's kind of why I wrote it, is to share kind of a view of how we can take whatever's happening to us and turn it into not only just a spiritual experience, but a way to expand consciousness. So it's never ending,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Because a lot of spiritual joy with that, because, okay, that's an interesting one. What am I going to do with that? How do I grow with that one? And so it's a constant question, but it also adds a little humor to the situation.
Yeah, I totally get it, because I know that even things in my own life, I've sat back and said, "Sheesh, what am I supposed to learn about this? I mean, what is my takeaway? I mean, life can't be all this miserable. What am I to learn? And I know that a friend of mine, I was getting a reading one time, and she said, you need to get out of your own way, and you had said that in your path, that you didn't get in your way. And that's what she was saying to me. You need to get out of your own way. You're the one that's holding yourself back,
Right.
which is amazing.
So the key is we have an idea of what we think we're supposed to be. That gets us in the way. And so as soon as you let go of the idea of who you think you're supposed to be, then you can actually be who you're supposed to be. And when people worry about, well, what's my career? What do I do next? It just focus inward, connect to your soul, and it's going to guide you. you don't have to worry about it. Do I get in a relationship? Do I not get in a relationship? Do I do this kind of work? What's my purpose? It will come to you if we can allow it to unfold. And that's key. And that's particularly true in relationships. It's like, well, what am I doing? And how long do I wait to make a decision here? And it's like being patient with what is brought to you. So I tell people, don't go look for somebody in a relationship. Let them come to you, whatever that is. But just be open and keep working on yourself. And as you evolve, you're going to draw somebody at the next level of evolvement anyway. Yeah. So that's kind of the message I give as this is a couple therapists, family therapists, psychiatrists. Like, okay, there's a bigger picture. Just kind of let go and live your life and focus on your growth, and the rest will happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so. I had just had a show on not too long ago. There was a show, another host did with one of our wonderful elite guests, Jan Mitchell, and Hersh Sherman is the host, and they were talking about that, and they were talking about the, like divorce, of course, and then like. Some people look at divorce like, oh, it's the end of the world. But like Jen was saying, it's this kind of a new beginning for you.
That's right.
If you've decided that your relationship has ended, then step from that, step forward into your new life and open your arms and say, here I am, like that Mary Tyler Moore. Everybody used to see that. Remember Mary Tyler Moore show when she used to throw her arms in the air and just welcome the world, just welcome the day to start. So yeah, we were a little bit more like that, and just kind of, live life the way maybe it's meant to be rather than what we want it to be, right?
Or our idea of how it should be.
Yeah.
So we're given the idea up of how it should be, then we're open to let it be as it is. Mm-hmm. That's a lot more fun.
Absolutely. And actually your path will probably be a lot smoother. You're not having so many bumps in the road, right?
Right. That's really one of the messages is into the nothing. We're going beyond the mind, okay, where you have ideas and concepts of how it should be, and ultimately merging with the divine into the nothing. There's nothing left. Mm-hmm. So what that means is give up your ego view of being goal-oriented and just be at peace with the unfolding rather than having an idea of how it should be.
Wow, that's very powerful.
Yeah, there's a Taoist saying, the master does what she can, and then lets go, knowing it's forever out of control.
Wow, that's
so you do your best. Take care of yourself, focus on your soul, grow, be healthy, and then you have to let go because we're not really in control, but we do the best we can. Like two wings of a bird, it kind of graces. Somebody's going to be brought to you for a relationship. Fine, that's good. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't matter. If you focus on yourself and your spiritual joy, then whatever happens comes to you is good. And that's the same with relationship. One of the mistakes I see happen for people in relationship is they think the other person is the cause of their joy, the cause of their love. And what I teach people, and I mention it clearly in the book, because I talk a lot about relationships in the book, sacred relationships, different kinds, soulmates, the key is you to evolve, and whatever happens is going to happen. What makes a relationship sacred is you create a space for the other person to evolve rather than trying to control their lives. You create a space. And in fact, I call it's a sacred space. Why? Well, how many relationships allow you to just truly become an original? We're all born originals. Most people die copies. Mm-hmm. And one of the powerful things about relationship is for the one to create the space for the other. And it goes both ways.
Mhm.
to be an original again in
Right.
front of the witness. Okay. And that's key. Now, I was going to say something else that when we connect to our soul, we connect to the truth of who we are. We connect to what I call non-causal love, non-causal peace, non-causal compassion. Now, I'll stop there for a second. You are the source of love. The other person activates that source of love, that non-causal love in you, but they're not the cause of it. It comes from us. It's our deepest program,
Mhm.
deeper than the death urge, deeper than the sex urge, is the urge for the divine, within ourselves and without. So if we just focus on that, then we have a different idea of relationship because we don't become codependent. We know the sources within us. Yes, the other person activates that, which is good, but they're not the source. So that immediately frees you up to have a much healthier relationship because you get away from the codependency type of situation.
Mhm. That's very impactful. I tell you what, I am going to re-listen to this show because I'm getting a lot from it myself, and I love what you have to say. I truly do. I mean, so often in relationships we think that when we meet someone we have to kind of conform them, and that's where all that stuff is. You just let it happen, let it evolve, and if a relationship is going to form, it will, and
Right.
and let your light shine. I mean, it's totally wonderful what you're saying, and
Yeah.
I enjoy it so much. We're gonna have to go on a quick break though. When we come back, let's talk about this a little bit further, and I'd like to talk a little bit about what you're doing now, and I want to share with the audience that you're in Israel and you're doing some retreats and things like that. So I'd like to make sure we let them know everything that's available for them and your great book. So
But I do want to get to one point about relationship is it's a spiritual path. We'll
yeah.
talk about it
So
when we
we'll
get
talk
back.
about that when we come back. So for sure, because I think that's really important, and you're hitting on some points that I don't think anybody's actually really talked about here. And so this is truly, I think, going to turn and shift people's mindset as they move forward in their lives. So you guys will be right back. We're on WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. We are the #1 internet singles talk network, and we're going to be right back here on the Author's Corner, Meet the Author, with our wonderful guest here, Dr. Gabriel Cousens. So we'll be right back. So hold on just one moment.
It's a fact. In the new economy, average people are becoming millionaires.
Welcome back to the show. This is WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. You are listening to GoingSoloMedia.com, and we are on the Author's Corner, Meet the Author, and we have a great show here with us today. We have Dr. Gabriel Cousens with us. We're talking about his book, Into the Nothing, a Spiritual Autobiography, and it is a fantastic book. It sounds like to me, Dr. Gabriel, that you have tremendous depth within this book, and so you really talk about the spiritual aspect of life itself, and relationships, and all things that are important to us to be able to grow as individuals. So I want to thank you so much for the first part of the show. it was really great. I mean, we talked, I mean, it was heavy. We talked about a lot of wonderful things. And I think that can help people shift through their lives through attracting, a better relationship, not only with a partner, but with themselves, understanding that they are the ones that control love in their life. They are the ones that have that light, right?
We're the source of love. The other person activates it, but we're the source. That divine soul spark in us is the source of love. And as soon as we get that, it totally changes relationship. Because you don't go into, I need the person to feel love. No, that's not what's going on. It dwells within you as you. That's key. And before the break, I mentioned the importance of how when I marry people or when I work with them in any way, relationship, I make the point that relationship, sacred relationship, is or can be a spiritual path. Because it's all amplified. All your stuff, the other person's a mirror for, and if people understand that that's what they're doing for each other, then you have a wonderful opportunity to have a more intensified spiritual growth. That's what's very powerful. It takes a few years. It's like an investment. The relationship is, in a sense, an investment because you have to work through your family of origin issues, which you can do in the sacred relationship, and perhaps past life, if you believe in those things. And the beauty is, though, you create a space for each other to grow spiritually in a protective environment, which is the relationship. And so the relationship brings up things, but you're also creating a space for that spiritual growth. So to me, it's a spiritual path to liberation if you choose to see it that way. If you choose it, that's the key. I talk about 3 levels of relationship, kind of meeting basic needs, but more, I'm going to say, codependent, where you don't see each other, but you're there. I've worked in my sacred relationship courses. Couples have been together 40 years, 50 years, and they haven't really ever seen each other. And then separate and equal. And people are worried about their boundaries. And then the third is where you maintain your unique individuality, but at the same time, you can let go and be in the oneness. Because it takes a certain amount of spiritual courage to be in an intimate relationship. I'm not talking about sex here. I'm talking about sharing the intimate you with each other and trusting that the other person's going to hold that energy for you in that process, and then to be your real self. That's one of the beauties of a sacred relationship as a spiritual path. It's called jumping into the unknown. I talk about into the nothing, but in relationship, you are going into the unknown, and it doesn't give you safety and security. If you see it as an opportunity for growth, it gives you challenge. It pushes you to deeper levels of your spiritual capacity, and that's what's beautiful about relationship as a spiritual path.
Yeah, that it's truly, if you look at it from that sense, versus I think the way a lot of us probably look at building a relationship, you really have a true connection there. You establish that true, honest connection. So when we talk about a soulmate, is that something like a soulmate when you two are connected spiritually, on that path together?
That's part of it.
Okay.
In the kind of mystical traditions, like the actually Western tradition, it said your soulmate usually comes from a different area,
Mm-hmm.
like across the seas, often a different age. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then you do have that soul connection where you, at certain point, provoke, I'm careful with that word, but provoke continual spiritual inquiry and growth in the relationship, but it's held together by that love and trust. Trust is very important.
Mhm.
Got to trust each other to be able to go into those deeper places. Because you need that safety. Intimacy needs safety and needs and trust. And of course, you build the love in that context.
Right.
But you have to have spiritual courage. It takes courage. It's
Mhm.
not for beginners, it's a different kind of statement to create sacred intimacy.
Mhm.
You gotta have trust, you have to have courage, you have to be willing to go into the unknown.
Mhm.
Because you don't know what's going to happen. But you have to have that faith.
Now, when I was reading some of your information, it mentioned about going from into nothing and then going into something. I think I've read
Yes,
something about going into something.
that's
So
correct.
explain that a little bit about.
So that we live in a paradox.
Mhm.
So the something has all the dimensions of the divine in it, but there's still a you, but you're seeing the something, whatever that is, in its full spiritual context. Now, and then the alteration is into the nothing means you dissolve now. There's no longer a separate you,
Mhm.
but there's only God. And the idea in what I was teaching is it's an alteration of consciousness. So you're in the nothing, and now you're in the something.
Mhm.
And so it's not all one way. I have seen people who are just in the nothing, very rare, very rare, and they're just lying there in the nothing. That's it. That's all that's happening. Now, that's not a criticism, but that doesn't work so well in the West, in many ways. So, to me, the path for the West is to see every person as a multi-dimensional experience. I don't mean just people, but clearly people. And then also, whatever you're doing, here we are. This is a kind of to me, a multi-dimensional experience. So I'm alternating literally between I'm talking to you, we're doing this at the same time. I dip inside and there's nothing. And then there's something and there's nothing. And so it's a constant play or dynamic holding, and the paradox is to hold both awarenesses at the same time. That's the deep kind of spiritual development that begins to happen. That's why I call it holistic liberation, physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, but also with the paradox.
Yeah.
When we live with the paradox.
Mhm. Very interesting. Very interesting. I think your book sounds awesome. And I hope that those out there that are listening that really, truly want, a true spiritual connection will read it, because I think they'll get a lot from it, definitely from it, and it helped them in many facets of their lives, as they continue to grow forward. So, yeah,
So
beautiful.
what I say is all I ever learned from life was from meditating,
Mhm.
playing football, and sacred relations. Because when I was playing football, I was inducted in the National Football Hall of Fame, uh, captain of an undefeated Amherst College football team. What would happen is I would kind of go beyond because I was the smallest guy on the field usually.
Mhm.
And so I have to go beyond myself. And at some point, you go into the zone and you go into kind of a deeper awareness beyond the mind, just to be able to be at the most, I'm going to say, peak performance. So that was part of my spiritual life. It's like, oh, wow, this is pretty good. But of course, football season ends, you graduate. Okay, now meditation becomes the predominant way to go beyond the mind, to be going into that nothing. But that alteration is there. That's the next level that we're both. And the challenge is, how do we hold that? It's same in sacred relationship. How do each of you support each other and become a unique individual, at the same time becoming one? It's a
Mhm.
paradox.
Mhm.
And in the most healthy level of relationship, we need to keep that uniqueness each person be in unique expression of the divine, but at the same time, to be able to merge.
Right.
See, this is not merging. This is not even seeing each other. That's codependent. This is merging. So we keep uniqueness, but we also have the ability to let go fully with trust and love and become one. So that's the paradox of sacred relationship.
Yeah, and that's to me like the ultimate relationship. If you can have that with a partner, if you can connect like that with a partner and have that trust and really have that sharing, that's a very beautiful experience for sure. Yeah,
And
wonderful.
it's a way of life. So I talk about holistic liberation as a way of life, not as a spiritual practice. And that's what I'm saying with relationship. It's a way of life. It's not, oh, we're going to practice intimacy. I mean, you have to start somewhere, so it's good to have that awareness. But then the idea is to move it to, well, this is the way we are.
Right.
And that's the key when you get to it's a way of life that leads you to love, leads you to liberation, leads you to oneness, and leads you ultimately to go beyond the mind.
Very, very interesting. So now I want to share with everyone your website. You have a couple different websites here. It's drcousens.com. That's DRCOUSENS.com. And then also treeoflife.mn.co. And again, that's just spelled tree, TREEOFLIFE.mn.co. So definitely want to go and check out his website. Now, we only have a few minutes left. So let's talk a little bit about, we've got your great book, right? Now, can we find your book on your website?
Oh, yeah. The book on the website, it's at Amazon. It's in all the different bookstores. It's international. It's being translated into different languages as well. So that's key. Now, what I do is with the community, because it's a hard time in today's world right now. It's not easy for people.
Right.
So I have several kind of sessions with people a week, Shakti hour, and then Alive with Dr. Gabriel, where we're focused on aliveness and that kind of topics. And then I also have a kind of a little reading of the Torah. So there's 3 different sessions that I have. And then we have once a month spiritual meditation retreats. And then also we have spiritual fasting retreats, and a way to show called 0 Point, show people how to work with their mind to kind of go beyond being trapped in their thought forms.
Right.
And so I have those different things in this context today. So we've had to reorganize everything because it's all on the internet at the moment. But that's what everybody's doing. So we're running online fasting retreats. I never thought of that. Now it's like, okay, let's go for it.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, a lot of people that didn't go to the internet, because I've been on the internet for years now. And so those that hadn't been even thought about the internet are now flocking to the internet. And I think they're really embracing it, realizing that you can touch more people. You can actually connect with more people. And,
Yes.
And really be able to share your message, your word, and all of that. So I want to thank you so much for being on the show here today. It's been really a true blessing, because I think what you're saying about living your life to the fullest and letting it be, and not getting, so stressed out and the problems that we have in today's world, and just focus on yourself and moving forward and be in touch with your spiritual,
When you're in touch with your soul, then it allows you to be in touch with other people's souls. That's when you draw your sacred other. I think that's the key.
Yeah, I agree.
So don't look, it will come. The right person will come to you. If
Absolutely, I agree. Well, and even having that same mindset, it creates a sense of peace and understanding and appreciation of other people. And so,
yeah,
as you walk the world, meeting other people, you can connect with them, on
yes,
a deeper level, and maybe that would bring a lot more kindness in the world. So.
it,
Yeah.
absolutely, not maybe, for sure. Well,
I think it would. I agree. I think it would. And I do feel that that's so important. And we need that. We need that in today's world. Rather than stressing out about all the negative things that are going to happen to us, focus on what we can change and what we can do, and be in touch with, our spirit, and share it with other people, and, be whole. I think it's a great thing. So I hope everyone will reach out to you on your website. Again, it's
oh, yeah.
drcousens.com, treeoflife.mn.co. And then also his book here, we'll put it up again for everyone to see, Into the Nothings, a Spiritual Autobiography. Oh, great. I'm glad you're showing it. And so go and get it. You can get it on Amazon, anywhere. You can go right to his website and get it there. And check out, his, you're having what, on Zoom or something like that? You're connecting on the internet.
I have a lot of Zoom stuff that we're really doing. But before we stop, I want to bless you for your good work.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes,
Okay.
I
And
appreciate
all the listeners for being wise enough to listen to you.
it.
Very good.
Oh, you're a sweetheart. You're a blessing yourself. And thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for spending, taking the time out of your day. And, you're all the way in Israel here now, and spending the time here with us. We do appreciate it. And your words are so well needed. And, I just want to thank you so much for all that you've shared with us today.
Okay. Well, thank you, Cece. And again, blessings.
Thank you very much. Wonderful.
Okay.
All right, then. So, everyone, you guys are listening to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. This is the Author's Corner. Meet the author. We had wonderful, guest here with us today, Dr. Gabriel Cousens, MD. He wrote a wonderful book called Into the Nothing, a Spiritual Autobiography. Of course, you guys can get that information. You can buy the book right on Amazon or any place that, sells books. Go straight to his website. Get it there on drcousens.com or treeoflife.mn.co. Check out all of his internet classes and things that he has. Join him, and really get a better understanding of your being, your spirituality. And like he said, you raise your vibration up, the right person will come into your life. And not always just the right person, but also the path of life that you want to take. It's there for you. You just have to be able to raise your vibration up and understand it, and be able to allow yourself to let go and be free. And that, of course, Dr. Gabriel shared that with us today, and what a blessing he was indeed. So again, you guys are listening to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. We are the #1 internet singles talk network. I want to thank you so much. I am your host, Cece Shatz, and we'll catch you back next week. Bye. Love you. Bye for now.